So today our topic is women in TVET. And with me, we have some guest speakers. And Ms. Jagannathan is going to introduce you to them a little later on during the presentation. So we're going to look at how women have impacted the TVET arena and what are the benefits of women being a part of TVET. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go through the presentations. Any questions that you may have, feel free to type it in. For those on Facebook Live, you can comment. Those of you who are in the chat room with us, you can add it to the comment section. And when we get to the discussion, we are going to answer all of your questions. So women in TVET. So first we're going to touch on who is the NTA, who we are, what we do. So the NTA is responsible for TVET, and TVET has an important role to play in the context of facilitating employment, poverty eradication, and sustainable development. So the NTA was created in 1999 as a central coordinating body responsible for the planning and coordinating of all TVET and to support workforce development in Trinidad and Tobago. It is education or training which provides learners with technical and core skills, knowledge and attitudes needed to enter into the world of work. NTA serves as the awarding body also for the Caribbean Vocational Qualification and the TTNVQ, which is the Trinidad and Tobago National Qualification. Now, the difference between the CVQ and in Trinidad. Now you see that NTA is responsible for TVET, but what is TVET? And TVET is just an acronym for Technical and Vocational Education and Training. It is also known as TechVoc. It is also known as Vocational Training. It is also known as Skills Training. So there are a lot of different terms that fall under what is TVET. And TVET basically incorporates vocational training, technical education, and skills training and skills education as well. So let's move on. So here we see some of the sectors that are available. And these are TVET sectors. They fall under skill categories. So there's agriculture and fisheries, aviation, construction, cosmetology, creative industry. And creative industry includes those persons in sound engineering, mass production, those kind of industries. There's also culinary, digital, electrical, environmental, health or medical, manufacturing, mechanical, and media. So all of these sectors fall within TVET. Now, why pursue TVET? Why TVET? So TVET leads to an improved quality of life. It helps individuals to become economically productive and thus escape poverty and marginalization. When individuals are equipped with skills, they become entrepreneurs, they become more employable, and they become more informed. It is estimated that women total to 1/2 of the world's population, and they represent 2/3 of the world workers. But ironically, only 1/10 of the world's income and own 100 of property. So this was some data that we found online. And these inequalities can be linked to unequal access to training opportunities. So while we have so many women in the workforce, we see that not much of these women are in skills, are in TVET. So why should I pursue training, or why should I pursue a career in a skills sector? But why? And the career options that are available, and it's not limited to these, I'd like dental hygienists, geological and petroleum technicians, web developers, medical diagnostics, electricians, plumbers, masons. Then we also have air conditioning and refrigerating technicians, and many more. And why a skilled sector? Because these are high-paying, fast-growing jobs that make vocational education and training an investment worth considering. Now, why else? Because skilled jobs are in demand. Right now, we are in the middle of a pandemic. A lot of us are spending more time at home. We are seeing more things that need to be done around the house. We may want to paint, we may want to fix something, we may want to change the piping in our houses. So we may not have the skill on our own to do these things. So then we have to hire a plumber, we have to hire a painter, we have to hire electricians and all of that. So these jobs are constantly in demand. And advantages of skilled related jobs is that, again, we spoke about it. It leads to entrepreneurship, it leads to economic growth, national sustainability, expansion and growth of the TVET-based industry. Right? And when we say the expansion and growth of TVET-based industries, it means that there is development within that market. There is strength. So if there's like a body of, let's say, hairdressers, there is strength and there's growth in that industry. So women in the workforce, what are some advantages of having women in today's workforce? And it increases the potential of the human capital in a country. It increases the national development and growth of that country as well. It increases the contribution women can make to family income. And it also contributes to lowering poverty. So why have women work? These are some of the reasons why. We see how women can contribute to not just staying at home, but being the caretaker. While that is important, yes, we see that having women in the workforce can also attribute to increasing the family's income, increasing the family's standard of living. And these are some of the reasons and some of the advantages of having women in the workforce. And from these advantages, we see that there's a need for governments to improve their gender equality policies. So let's look at our legislation in Trinidad and Tobago. And we have a legislation that states that women should enjoy treatment under the law. In sections 4 and 5 of the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago, it guarantees that every person, regardless of sex, fundamental rights and freedoms, including the right to equality before the law. Right? The Constitution is the supreme law of the nation. Any law depriving women of their rights and freedoms, or which places restrictions on their enjoyment of these rights, may be struck down by the High Court. And although anti-discrimination provisions specific to women do not appear in the Constitution, women are guaranteed equality of treatment by public institutions. And while these guarantees protect women against discriminatory laws and regulations, they apply only to public institutions and not to the private sector, where, for example, they do little to protect women from discrimination in employment matters. And this was taken from CAFRA in 1991. So in our discussion later on, we're going to talk about, have you seen any changes from what would have been stated here to now in the private sector? And how has the private sector, you think, made improvements for women in TVET? Let's move on. So women in Trinidad and Tobago workforce. So today, women take up approximately 50% of the modern workforce. 2020 presents more opportunities for women than ever before, with equality at the forefront of employers' priorities and vision. The participation rate in the labor force, as stated by the CSO, is that in the third quarter of 2016, stood at 57.95% for men and 42.05% for women, respectively. So this was taken back in 2016. So I would imagine that in 2020, the figures are much higher now. There still seems to be a vast number of stereotypes that circulate around women in skilled trades. So for example, we go into a school like MIC, which focuses on skills perceived to be male dominated, or that are male dominated. So welding, electrical, and you see that one woman in that class and you look at her and you think, what's she doing here? And these are some stereotypes that we have that are surrounded with these skills traits. That women don't have the strength and endurance to do the labor, that women feel uncomfortable around the men in the industry, and that men dominate the workforce, they dominate the culture. Right? And these are some of the stereotypes that we are trying to break today in today's society. Right? Although some instances may still be true, there is a conscious effort to eliminate stereotypes and issues regarding equality by trade organizations like the NTA. So you tell me, we have some points here. Is this a myth or reality? Women can possess the same skill set as men. Women can do construction. Women can work in plants and factories. Women can be engineers, electricians, mechanics. Women can operate heavy machinery. So you think about it. Is this a myth or is this a reality? And I think it's a reality. There remain a number of challenges faced by women in skills training up to today because a lot of people think these are myths. So we've seen some of the myths and realities. Well, the myths that we know are realities. But what are some of the challenges? So some of the challenges that we face right now with TVET and women in TVET specifically is government's priority to a gender equality action plan. Right? There's also this traditional perception, stereotype that men and women cannot do the same job, that construction is not for women, skilled jobs, trade jobs are not for women. And there's also this lack of acceptance of women into the workforce, into skills, and into trade jobs, especially alongside men. There's also the clarity of the role of women in TVET. So, for example, if I am an engineer, I go out to a platform, there may be a little bit of misconception of what I can do versus what a man can do. And there's also the gender gap. We're going to go a little bit further into the gender gap. So what is this gender gap? As we see from the photo here, we see that it's a difference and it's the sum of issues that make that difference between men and women in the workforce, right? So gender gaps persist globally in women's access to skills development, gender biases and occupational choices. So, for example, I am professionally qualified to be an electrician, for example, and then my counterpart, he is also qualified to be an electrician. We both go and apply for a job. Who do you think the employer is going to choose just at a first glance? Me being a woman or my counterpart being a male? So that's what we talk about gender biases and occupational choices. Because some occupational areas are so male driven, the obvious choice would be to select a man, which is unfair. There's also barriers to education and training. If we look, for example, in a lot of Middle Eastern countries, there are barriers to women doing certain things, right? So in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, women and girls are bearing the brunt of care responsibilities during school closures. And we see it happening, like women are now forced to take leave they are the ones with the responsibility to care for their families. The men are more seen as breadwinners of the household. So men would still go out to work while women now have to make changes to their jobs, to their way of life. Right, let's move on. Furthermore, women in TVET are less likely to find employment compared to their male counterparts, especially in developing countries like the Caribbean and emerging economies like Asia. And this was taken from ILO. And mainly in the Caribbean, because we have this stereotype and it's our culture that women do not do these jobs. It's noteworthy though to mention that other factors such as social and cultural factors hinder women's employment in certain regions of the world. So like I was saying before, um, within the Caribbean, right in Trinidad and Tobago, you know, a girl might tell her parents, I am going to pursue construction, I'm going to be a joiner, I'm going to be a plumber. And they might say, are you mad? So these are some of the cultural barriers that exist for us, women. So here we just have some data, and Trinidad and Tobago would fall under developing economies, and we would see the proportion of women between 15 to 24 years old enrolled in TVET education. And you can see that that number is quite low. Again, we're going to see employment to population ratios here. So in the red or pink, I'm not sure how you're going to see it on your side, it represents women, and the blue represents men. And we see here across the world, and if we look at Latin America and the Caribbean, we see that gap between men and women, and how men are employed versus how women are employed in these skilled sectors. Okay. So like I said, if you look at like the Middle Eastern countries, women are not allowed to pursue certain skills, certain types of training. First, in the Caribbean, it's not that we aren't allowed, but rather a culture and social barrier. So female participation in TVET. This just explains what we would have seen in the graph before. And I'll just speak about regionally. So girls and women were discouraged from studying in traditionally male profession sectors. The main challenges faced by the Caribbean education system is educational and training institutions with traditional and supply-driven systems which are backdated. We are seeing that these institutions are making changes, and we are happy because we're seeing more and more women enrolling in these areas. So what is one of the outcomes of pursuing TVET or career in TVET? And it's clear, women empowerment. And women empowerment is not just limited to the economical independence of a woman, but it includes gender equality, education, acquiring a skill, and many other factors. Empowerment enables individuals to recognize their identities and their strengths in all aspects of their life. It consists of greater access to knowledge and resources, greater independence in making decisions, and freedom from the restraints imposed by those same customs and beliefs and practices from society that we saw that were barriers to pursuing TVET. It is a process of enabling women to make productive contributions to the economical independence, political participation, and social development of a country. It means that supporting women's potentials and capabilities to influence social institutions and affect their lives. So TVET plays an important role in helping women get skilled, educated, and transition into the labor market, making us empowered. right? So TVET has a critical role to play in the promoting of entrepreneurial and innovative skills for self-employment. In a little bit, we're going to see how TVET has played such a role in a few women that we have here today, and they have been very successful at their trades. It also integrates entrepreneurial segments in TVET and skills training for women. And most women who seek to start their own business, they already have an idea about what product or service they want to offer. So TVET just assists in getting that training. TVET entrepreneurs have secured a steady income and are successfully employed. Whether you're employed or you run a micro business or a big business, once, I shouldn't say once, but it also secures a steady income that leads to being successfully employed or a successful entrepreneur. So now it's time for us to meet some of these women. And before I turn you back over to Ms. Jagannath, I just want to focus on one of my good friends, Daniella. So Daniella is just 32 years of age. And although she has an academic degree in physics and environmental science with natural resource management, she also has a skill, right? So I just want to touch on this point before. Academic studies is good, but having a skill is even better. She is the managing director and florist at Dash Fab Flowers, known on social media as Fab Flowers TT. Her love and passion for floral arrangements led her to embark on a journey towards opening her own business. So you see, from the previous slide, she would have already known what it is she wanted to do. She had an idea. And TVET allowed her to embark on opening her own business. She took her first floral class at the age of 16 at the School of Continuing Studies at UWI, and she learned basic knowledge where she was hungry to pursue her passion further. And thus Fab Flowers was started in 2018. And she says that having a skill, it taught her to pay additional attention to details. She's become a perfectionist at what she's done, and she's been exceeding her customer expectations since then. It's been an exciting 3 years for her. And, we look forward and we wish Daniella continued success in her business and Fab Flowers TT. And now I'm just going to turn you over to Ms. Jagannath, and she's now going to do a live interview with some of our lovely guests. So, Omita.
Thank you so much, Giselle. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here today, both on Zoom and on Facebook Live. And we have some very interesting testimonials or discussions we're going to have queued up. Right now, we have with us Miss Crystal Adana Avia John, who is the owner and founder of CAAJ Plumbing Services. Miss John, please tell me, do you pronounce it CAAJ Plumbing Services? Well, I'm not hearing you. Let's see if we need to unmute your microphone. Where did you go?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Yes, we're hearing you now. So tell us, Miss John, Miss Crystal John, how do you pronounce the name of your business?
CAAJ Plumbing Services.
All right. And tell us, what exactly does CAAJ do?
All right. At our plumbing services, we do plumbing maintenance, installation, repairs, roughening pipe work, you name it, anything plumbing wise.
Mm-hmm. And how exactly did you, Miss John, get involved in plumbing?
Well, I love working with my hands. Mm-hmm. Actually, when I came out of school, I wanted to study law, but my mom didn't have the funds, so I had to find something that could carry me through. And I took up plumbing because I had a brother that was doing plumbing, and every time my mom called on him to do something, he always, "Mommy, are coming, Mommy, are coming." So I said, I think I want to do plumbing because he's reluctant So I just really want to help out around, and then I started studying it, going through the papers, searching the internet, finding the right place to do the course, and that's it.
So you are a woman who is involved in TVET. And you have your own business. What made you decide to open your own business?
To be more recognized throughout, to help. Well, most of the times for me, to have young people that, can't really read and write properly. So I wanted to help the younger ones by giving them employment, training them the skills. And so far it have been going good.
Okay, we're glad to hear that. Do you have any message or advice for young women who want to get involved in technical and vocational areas?
Yeah, basically, I will tell them to go for it. In order to do so, you have to. Everybody have a skill, so you have to work on it. You have to read. You have to ask questions. You have to make time. Most importantly. Um, I don't know. It's
Well, Ms.
just so
John,
much. It's so much.
I think you're an inspiration, and we're happy to hear about your journey, and we're happy that you decided to join us here today. And thank you so much for spending the time to answer our questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So let's see. I believe we have another slide, Giselle, for our next presenter, who happens to be another business owner. And we have as well Miss Kayla Lee Duff, who is also a business owner, a self-motivated entrepreneur. And she's just going to chat with us a little bit today as well. Miss Kayla Lee Duff, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good morning, everyone.
Hi, good morning. Hi, Kayla. So tell me, what's the name of your business? You're an entrepreneur. Tell us the name of your business.
The name of my business is Aliak Company Limited.
And what does Aliak Company Limited do?
Basically, we do marketing and social media management. So we provide marketing plans and strategic marketing plans. And should a client just be interested in social media management, we offer those services as well.
Okay, so what made you decide to open your own business? Because we're talking about entrepreneurship here.
My parents have been entrepreneurs since I was born, so it was quite normal in my household to discuss business and goals for family business and that sort of thing. So naturally, I pursued business studies throughout academia and subsequently opened my own business.
All right. And what advice do you have for any young women who are looking to become an entrepreneur, open their own business?
The main advice I would like to share is for them to take time to do proper research, survey the market, as Giselle, Ms. Jordan would have said earlier. Most women have an idea of what they want to get into, so take the necessary time to understand the potential market base that you would like to provide some sort of business with, and do your research, interviews, questionnaires, and really immerse yourself in that activity so that you can hit the markets and get the impact that you hope to achieve.
That's excellent advice. Thank you so much. And thanks so much, everyone, for joining us today. We have another session. Giselle is going to talk to us a little bit about some of the ways that you can get involved in entrepreneurship. And we have as well, in a few minutes, the National Director of the National Security Development Program, Ms. Patricia De Leon Henry, to tell you about the Sewing Empowerment Through the Entrepreneurial Development Seed Program. But thank you so much for now, Kayla. Now we go back to, perhaps we should have Ms. De Leon come on. Ms. De Leon, are you available?
Yes, I am. Good morning.
Good morning. So would you like to share with us a little bit about the SEED program?
Sure. I want to begin by saying that I think that this initiative is a very good one, especially promoting women in TVET. The Ministry of Social Development and Family Services has a sewing empowerment through entrepreneurial development program, which provides financial support to persons who are in difficult social and economic circumstances, but are interested in either starting or expanding a micro business. The SEED program provides funding up to $15,000 to be able to purchase goods and or equipment, and even engage in training as well, up to 7,500 to be able to operate a micro business. The program is accessible through any of the ministry's offices, any of the local boards, and our head office, of course, is based in Port of Spain. It is really a great opportunity, especially for women, single parents, who they may have an idea in terms of what they would like to do. They may have a skill that they can turn into tangible business opportunity to be able to generate their own finances, become independent, become resilient, and take care of their families.
All right. So is there any specific sector that this particular program focuses on? Do you have to be involved in agriculture, or is there any specific categories that persons have to be in to access this?
Right. So the beautiful thing about the SEED program is that it's very versatile. So we have persons coming to us from sectors such as agriculture. We have persons who are in the food industry. We have persons who are in retail. We look at the business idea that persons present, and we advise.
We lost you there for a second, so we might have missed a little bit of what you said. Could you just repeat the last part there?
Sure. Are you hearing me now?
Yes, we can.
Great. So sometimes a client would come to us and they may not have their business idea completely planned out, but they have a skill and they may want to pursue that as a business opportunity. We would engage the client, we would provide the necessary support in terms of guiding them to develop their business. One of the things that we have is a business plan template, which we have simplified. It's questions that the client would respond to, and it is designed to really bring about the thought process as it relates to how they want to design their particular micro enterprise. So the support is available through the SEED program for clients.
So remind us, where can we find you online, your social media or your website? What's the best way to contact you?
All right, so you can contact us through the ministry's, the information is available through the ministry's website, www.social.gov.tt, as well as you can contact the National Social Development Program at 623-2608, extensions 1433, 1437, 1431.
Thank you very much. I'm pretty sure that the National Training Agency will be sharing your flyer as well on our social media channels. Is there anything you'd like to add before we switch over back to Giselle?
So I just want to encourage persons to pursue entrepreneurship activities, because entrepreneurship is a vehicle by which we can eradicate poverty and we can build the economy. So I want to really impress upon persons that idea that you may have, that you may think is silly, might be a game changer in the business world one day. And you as an individual would need to take the necessary steps to make that happen.
Thank you very much, Ms. De Leon. And I see that persons are actually interested in what you have to say. So we'll return to Giselle and then we'll treat with the questions in the chat in a little bit. Giselle?
Thanks, Sumita. And, I just want to say thank you to our three guest speakers. Miss John, I'm not sure if you're still there. You mentioned a few points here. And what stood out to me was when you said that everyone has a skill. And that is so true. It's just, first to uncover what that skill is and what our talent is. You know, I believe that everyone was born with a talent, and it's up to us to find that talent and use it. And, you know, she said that, you know, we have to read, ask questions, and get involved. That's how she started. You know, and then we moved on to Kayla, who said that she's a young entrepreneur, very successful, and she said that proper research needs to be done. We need to scan the market, understand the potential, and we need to immerse ourselves in that particular market so that we would be able to dominate. And Mrs. Henry, you know, she said that the seed program is about assisting entrepreneurs. You know, it's assisting them by starting and expanding their micro business, and they are doing the funding for that, which is a great initiative. And you know, we say kudos to the Ministry of Social Development for that. It builds independence. So everything that I would have mentioned before about women in TVET and the advantages, this is a perfect opportunity for persons interested in you know, becoming an entrepreneur to definitely seek out. Here I have how to access TVET, and on our website there is an approved list of training providers. So our website is www.ntatt.org, and if you go onto our website, you would see on the tabs the list of approved training providers. You click on there and you get all the contact information for TVET-based training providers. There's also the Ministry of Sport and Community Development, and there's a program called Community Education Program, and that focuses on non-traditional skills. So you can definitely check out their website as well. I know they would have a list of the programs that are available and the different areas, meaning geographical areas that you can go to pursue these courses. And we would have met with Mrs. Henry, who gave us a lot of information about the SEED program. Just to reiterate her number, her contact number. So we have the ministry website there, but the contact number that she gave was 623-2608, extension 1433, 1437, and 1431. What I would do is put this in the chat bar so you all can get access to it as well. We also have some of our sister agencies. And why we say sister agencies is because these institutions fall under the Ministry of Education as well, and they focus on TVET. So we have MIC, we have NESC, and YTEP. So we're just going to look a little bit into the YTEP program and see how much women have applied for these programs. And, you know, we've seen that they have received a total of 2,104 applications. And 93% of these applicants were females, which is awesome, right? The average age of women were 22 years old. And 77% of these females were unemployed. So we see here that TVET is an opportunity, it's a gateway to become employed, to become skilled, to advance oneself. Under the retraining program, and the retraining program is for persons between 25 and 60 years. And they received over 800 applications, and 86% of these were females. Again, female dominating the market here. The average age of women was 36 years old, and 78% of these women were unemployed. So again, we see that these women are now taking that step in the right direction to become formally trained. And we hope that after they are formally trained, that they would go to the SEED program and get additional funding to help them boost their business. And then we have MIC. So we have several programs under the MIC, the Institute of Technology. And there's the HIGH program, and there's an average of 11% enrollment. So just to reiterate, MIC focuses on more of the hard, what we consider hard skills. So like your welding, construction, those sort of sectors. So we see here, based on what we would have seen at YTEP before, which would have focused on what we consider the softer skills, and not soft skills meaning like communication and all of that, but the softer side meaning culinary, cosmetology, female-dominated areas. So here we see that there's an average of 11% enrollment in the HYPE program, and they focus on construction, air conditioning, carpentry, electrical, and plumbing. So we would have a few women in there. The MUST program has an average of 34% female enrollment. And while the NSDP program has just 5%. And this, the NSDP program consists of journeyman program, engineering, master craftsman level, mechanical engineering, and whatnot. So we see that there is room for women in these programs as well. Right? There's also the Commonwealth of Learning, and they provide technical and vocational skills and development. So the head of Commonwealth for Learning met with Trinidad and Tobago's Minister of Education, who is no longer, well, at the time, Mr. Anthony Garcia, to discuss call activities supporting TVET institutions in Trinidad and Tobago. So they're currently working with YTEP to increase access to skills training through a flexible and blended skills development model. Right, so this is another program that's available through YTEP. You can check it out, or you can also check out Commonwealth of Learning, their website, to get more information on what programs they have available and who they are working with currently. So in conclusion, the TVET subsector continues to play a crucial role in social economic development of any nation. Educated and skilled people spur economic growth and development. The widely recognized role of TVET is to furnish skills required to improve productivity, raise income levels, and improve access to employment for all. Right, so I hope that today you would have taken away something that would influence you, whether you are a woman, whether you are an employer, whether you are from an institution, that you would see how important it is to have women involved in skills training, not just skills training, but trade careers as well. All right, so let's discuss how can women overcome some of the obstacles in TVET. And I'm not sure if I can bring back Ms. John in here. And I just want to ask her some questions, like what are some of the challenges you would have faced, during your journey into getting into plumbing, and how did you overcome it?
Okay, some of the challenges I would have faced is with respect to time, because I have kids and I had to work around them. So I gave up on a job that I was doing in order to study, because the employer didn't want to give me time off, so I walked away and I decided to follow suit with plumbing.
Right. And you have any regrets or none at all? Because you don't seem to have any at all.
No regrets.
No regrets. Excellent. So, we see here how she would have had to give up her job. This was a steady income, I presume, to pursue her dream in plumbing and some of the challenges that she would have had. So, we're encouraging women, more and more women, get into the field. Ms. John also, being in plumbing, how has it been in that sector?
As I say, for me, I love what I do. So, while when I'm traveling and I'm moving around, I'll be watching different plumbing layouts and designs and all these things, and I'll just, when I go to do a job, I'll just follow suit and everything. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Excellent. Thank you so much again, Ms. John. And Kayla, thank you so much as well. And Mrs. Henry, we just want to say a heartfelt thank you for, sharing your time, sharing your expertise and your knowledge with us.
We actually have a couple of questions in the chat. So
right.
I see that there are some questions for Seed. So I'll let me know when you're ready, and I'll.
Okay, so I would hand you over to Omita now, and we are going to answer some of your questions. So thank you again, everyone. Thank you for your time and your patience, listening and tuning in. So we'll be answering questions now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right. So we actually have a lot of interest, Miss Henry, on the SEED program. There are persons who wanted to know if there was an age limit to access the SEED program.
All right, so access to the SEED program, the age range is between the age of 18 years to 60 years.
Oh, 18 to 60. And they wanted to know if you were connected to NEDCO in any way.
All right, so the SEED program is actually a grant and versus NEDCO being loan facilities. But of course, NEDCO, we are connected to NEDCO with respect to, for those clients who successfully establish their businesses and they require additional funding, we would do the necessary referrals to NEDCO for them to be able to access the loan funding subject to NEDCO's criteria.
The lending criteria. All right. So if somebody wants to access the SEED program, what's the first thing they have to do? What is the first step?
Right. So the first thing that has to be done is to determine the person's financial eligibility criteria, because of course grants under the Ministry of Social Development and Family Services are catered towards the poor and vulnerable. So there is a standard means test which persons can access on the ministry's website, www.social.gov.tt, and they can visit any one of the offices to complete the means test to determine if they are financially eligible for the grant. The means test takes into consideration the household income versus the household composition. And once they have passed the means test, then they would be given a checklist with respect to the other documents that are required, such as your ID card, any certificates that you may have. So persons, I'll use the example of, let's say, a hairdresser who is interested in pursuing that as her micro enterprise, that they would provide their certificates where they would have done hairdressing. So in addition to that, we would ask if there are any agreements with respect to rental of a business space. We would ask for documents concerning that, but it's all outlined in our checklist.
So they do the standards mean test, and it's submitted online? Or
right.
do they have to bring it in?
Right. So the standard means test, they can do the standard means test in terms of printing the document and filling in the information to determine whether or not they may qualify. But they would have to, an officer has to administer the test and sign off on it with the supporting documents that the client provides as it pertains to their income and the persons in their household.
Okay. And any other specific criteria that you wanted to mention persons need to have? Is it that they must be a registered business?
Right. So at this time, when you come to the SEED program, we do not require that your business be registered initially, but we will work with you towards getting that registration done, because we know some persons, they may not have the necessary know-how to pursue the business registration. So that is why we would support with respect to that.
Wonderful. We can't wait to find out more about this, and we'll definitely be sharing it on our social media. I see we have another question here for one of our entrepreneurs, Kayla. Kayla, someone is wondering, how has your experience been in the market as a very young entrepreneur? What are the challenges?
Let me thank the person for asking the question, right? Initially, I started the business while studying and having a full-time job. So it was extremely difficult to manage time. However, I navigated my way through that and came out successful, but the business did suffer, I will admit, at that time, because I couldn't take on as much jobs as I would have liked to. So I had to pace myself. When I was completed my program, my academic program, I continued the business. And one of the challenges I had is, at the time, I did the research prior to getting into the business. But when I started, there was already a lot of other people in the business as well, offering at different price points, different packages. And I was faced with the question if I should stay in the business or if now is the time to try and take on something else, because it was still very young and I had the flexibility to do that. So what I did is I looked at the competitors' packages, what they were offering, and the price points that they were offering it at, and I provided additional services with my services, so that I did not have to drop my prices to meet my competitors' price point. So now what I do is I offer additional services along with the social media packages. So that's where the marketing strategic plan. So we don't offer social media isolated. We offer it as a subset of a larger plan. We also provide entrepreneurial coaching and operational efficiency plans, and that is possible through strategic partnerships with other entrepreneurs in the industry and even outside of the marketing industry, so that we offer now a complete package that is specific to the client's need and not a one-size-fits-all package.
It's very interesting that you've indicated you also work with other entrepreneurs, because we can only do this through supporting each other.
Yes, most definitely. So yeah. I built a database, just a simple Excel sheet, and every business person I encounter, I take the information and I put it there. And so if someone comes to me, if I have a social media plan to do like an event and it goes live and I need a photographer, I don't have an in-house photographer, but I know at least 4 or 5 photographers, so, and they also bring work to me. I give them work as well. And we sit down and share experiences as well. So, it's a constant learning and growing process as I build my network within the industry.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kayla. I wanted to ask Ms. John something. Being a female in a TVET field, Giselle would have touched on this earlier, the challenges in terms of the gender, the idea that people may have only males should be in these fields. Crystal, Ms. John, what is it like? Do you find that persons, I don't know, like when you offer your services or you let them know that you are the main person that's going to be doing the job, what is the reception like?
They'll be like, someone say, wow, female. I say yes. And, you just go out and take the job and they do it and they watch you like, they're so amazed. They say they can't believe it's a female doing plumbing. They never saw a female plumber. And they go on and on and
Oh my word, I saw that was a nice question to ask you because you're laughing. I can imagine you have a lot of stories to tell us. Is there any specific story in your mind and your memory that would have stood out where you as a female was able to wow this client and make them stay, like, I don't know, eat their words, that they were wondering, about your capabilities? Is there anything?
Yeah, just up to Saturday, I had one customer. He called. He was like, he telling me the pump not working. So I said, why the pump not working? It just keep going on and off, on and off. I said, well, okay, I know it's the problem. I will solve it. Yeah, you're sure you know it's the problem. You're sure you know it's the... I said, sir, I come to do a job. I can do it in peace, please. And he be smiling and he going and stuff. So when I was finished, he was like, wow, I never knew you could have done that. I say, you judge me.
I like that.
You get them regularly, you get them.
I like that. I mean, again, the purpose of this particular session is not about bashing any particular gender. It's about empowering all of us to understand that we all have value, we all have skills. And we have a couple more questions because I know the session is now reaching 11 o'clock. So let me just touch on it quickly. We have a question here from Sherilyn. Will there be a repeat of this session? Sherilyn, what I wanted to say was we are live on Facebook at the moment, and Giselle has left all of our contact info on the screen for you. So So feel free to follow us on all of our social media. And we will be posting it on YouTube as well, this NTA TNT. So yes, and I just have a couple of comments here from Trinidad Tower Crane saying that they are an institution, training institution, a training provider under the National Training Agency, and they offer training in cranes and heavy equipment. And they wanted to know, and perhaps I can ask my manager to help us with this one. They are admitting that yes, we need more women in the what we consider the hard skills. You know, Miss John, persons might find it a little strange to see females in plumbing, and she's smiling again because I know that she's thinking about her own experiences. So here we have one of our training providers saying, what can we do to get more women involved in our line of training, which is again Trinidad Tower Cranes. So I'm going to ask my colleagues to see if they can contribute to that, because I know a lot of work was done on that. And if you guys have any additional questions after we wrap up our session today, we recommend you please contact us through our social media. All of our information is on the screen. Sunita, are you on?
Hello, good morning, everyone. To answer the question that Tower Crane is asking, I would propose that they do a marketing plan that focuses on the female market, so that when they're advertising their program, they indicate the involvement of females and how effective it would be for females. Also, their curriculum, their facility should provide and facilitate female enrollment. So my proposal is that they focus on the female market in the advertising and promotions.
Thank you. And you've heard straight from the Business Development and Communication Manager at the National Training Agency.
Omita, just to add to what Sunita is saying, I think it's important too that not just for that particular institution, but for all institutions that are involved in TVET and even the NTA, I think it's important for us to start changing the narrative that women can do these skills, you know. I think in our marketing outputs, just as Sunita said, rightfully said, in marketing plans, but you know, and more than just marketing plans, I'm thinking that in our visuals, in the visuals that we put out, we should include women doing these jobs.
And that's why we were so happy to have Miss John and Miss Kayla Lee Duff joining us today to showcase real live women in the industry, being entrepreneurs and working in TVET. And we hope to do more of these. And we thank you all so much for being a part of this particular series. Today's session was entitled Women in TVET. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we close, Giselle?
I just wanted to say, you know, being someone who is academically qualified, you know, and having a skill. I remember growing up, I would have always been involved in certain things. And just as Miss John said, you know, using your talent. So, you know, I want to encourage all of our listeners, you know, even if you're a man, you have a wife, you have a daughter, you have a sister, you have a cousin, you have a friend who's a woman, you know, encourage them to pursue their skill. There are avenues for training, there are avenues for employment, there are avenues for empowerment. And, you know, I just want to encourage you all to, you know, let us break some of these myths and let us continue to empower women and empower women in TVET.
All right. Thank you so much. And you all just have a wonderful day. Signing off on behalf of the National Training Agency. I have been Miss Omita Jagannath, and we were hosted by Miss Giselle Jordan. Thank you so much.